People see your power before you do. Hi guys, welcome back to Clare's Kingdom, where we talk facts, walk fierce, and remind the world that well-behaved women rarely make history.
You wake up, toast up, run around in it, flossing on it. This diamond, my diamond, this rock, my rock. I woke up like this. I woke up like this.
Okay guys, as you can see by the title, today we are going to be discussing reverse psychology and mental gymnastics. So I'm sure we've all kind of heard different mind games and toxic tricks or manipulation that people may use, narcissists, toxic people, or just human nature. Like, people just use a lot of projection, gaslighting, all these tactics to get in your head, or to get you to doubt yourself, get you to shrink, get you to quit whatever they may perceive as to be intimidating or threatening. But yeah, we're going to get into all of that today. So this has just been something I've been thinking about and even dwelling on, because during our day-to-day lives we may come across people that play these kind of games, whether that is them trying to convince you that you're something you're not. These are things that we can easily overlook, but once you become aware and once you know yourself and you know these kind of plays or power plays, you're able to protect yourself and move accordingly. Okay, so number one way people try to get in your head is by projecting their insecurities or jealousies onto you. So I don't know if you guys have experienced people, saying things like, "Oh, you think you're all that," or maybe you're doing too much, or you think you're so pretty, or you think you're so smart, or just these different things. Or sometimes it could be, for example, if you accuse someone of doing something, let's say you catch them in a lie, you catch them stealing, you catch them doing something that is a right towards you, towards another person, whatever the case may be, you'll find that those people try to switch the tables and try to say it's you that's like that. For example, if you find out someone is jealous of you, they try to turn around and say, no, you're the one that's jealous. Or if you catch someone in a lie, or someone's a serial liar, they'll try to turn around and say you're the serial liar. And these kind of games are especially dangerous when the person or the people are in a position where they can lie or create smear campaigns, create humiliation rituals, and actually get groups or people, systems, corporations to come against you. Which is why it's important that no matter how many people may try, gang up against you or try to sell you a narrative of yourself that is not true, you have to be able to stand in your truth and know who you are and never abandon yourself, even if the whole world abandons you. And you kind of see these examples in popular artists or other chosen ones or bright stars or bright people, celebrities in the world, where when they don't bend to someone's will. I know recently we've been talking about Michael Jackson, he's come back up, especially with the recent release of the Michael Jackson movie. And one thing that they tried to do was accuse him of being someone that took advantage of minors. And obviously, if you actually go down that rabbit hole, you actually find out he was never convicted, or there was never actual any solid proof. That's just one example to say, because he got into a position where he was not allowing himself to be controlled. And he clearly was just a bright soul, a pure soul, whose main objective was to just bring love into the world and bring people together. But you see how they tried to tarnish his name by throwing all these harmful allegations, and there's so many examples I can use. But this is what people that play mental gymnastics try to do. They try to spin narratives, they try to assign you things that have nothing to do with you, have nothing to do with your character, or nothing to do with whatever you stand on. So yeah, beware of that. Another way that people play games is, of course, through gaslighting. So people try to downplay your experiences, or they try to convince you that something didn't happen one way. Like, for example, I remember when I was in a group setting, and it was when you just sit down, you try to ease tensions and you talk about the experiences you've had, the injustices and all these things. And I remember, because I'm, like I've said before, I'm kind of sort of like a truth teller. I see things how they are and I say things how they are, and that's never been received gently or lightly, at least in my environment. And I remember when I was saying my experiences and saying things that have happened, or things that I felt weren't fair, or even situations where I've had to go out of my way. And I remember just being met with, "Oh, it happens to all of us. You're not special. That it didn't happen that way." People that play reverse psychology games, they love to say things like, maybe that's how you felt, or maybe that's what it looked like to you, but no, it happened this way, or it happened XYZ. And just basically trying to rewrite your experience. And at first glance, you could think, maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I was in my head, maybe it wasn't that bad, but no. Especially when it's a habit. Like every single time, guys, if you find that specific person or people, every time you state your experience, it's always like, oh no, it happened this way, or no, it's okay. Like, just be aware of that. Like, that's what they try to do, to mix up your memories. And when you're someone that's, especially when you're a people pleaser, when you don't really have a backbone of your person or who you are, it's very easy to be mixed up or swept up, which is why I'm always preaching self-love, self-care, self-adoration, because once you're able to actually see and view yourself as you would someone you love, once you actually love yourself, you won't just so quickly abandon yourself or so quickly believe what others are trying to tell you. So yeah, another thing which kind of webs into what we just talked about is the attempting to control the narrative. So I'm sure we've all heard the phrase that whoever has the pen, whoever writes history, they basically have control, they have a say of what actually happened. And sometimes that's not actually what happened, but because they are in control, maybe they're in a high position, maybe they have more social credit, whatever they say goes, basically. So this is another way people try to mess with you. Let's say it's a parent or a manager or a boss or authority figure, or just someone that is more socially inclined. Or even, for example, narcissists, they tend to have bandwagons of people, bandwagons of friends and people around them that may just go with whatever they say. I know, especially for me, growing up in certain contexts, familiar settings, where it's like whatever the older person says goes, whatever a parent says goes. If the parent says that you were wrong in a situation, or if a teacher, authority figure said you were the one in the wrong, that's basically what goes. This can be them attacking your character. This could be them trying to paint you into something that you're not. Whether that's them trying to paint you out to be some sort of liar, some sort of problem maker, troublemaker, especially when all you ever wanted or all you ever strive for is to be peaceful and to be truthful. But somehow it all twists into this: no, you're the problem child, you're the problem person, it's your fault. And I guess that's just another way to be a scapegoat. And that's another thing. Being a scapegoat, you will always come across these mental gymnastics or mental games. So yeah, lastly, I'm just going to say, when it comes to these kind of games, it also comes with people trying to intentionally provoke you. People purposefully doing things that will aggravate you, trying to get a reaction out of you. Like, I've experienced this, especially as I've been leveling up and like ascending and growing in myself and becoming better and just becoming closer to my higher self. And you guys will probably experience this. People will start trying to get reactions out of you. They will try to get you out of character, to try to prove like, see, they're the problem. See, look, they've changed so much and this is the type of person they are. Especially when you've changed and you've outgrown people-pleasing tendencies, you've outgrown, just being digestible to people. They will try to label your changes as a bad thing and try to, just mess with your credibility or your reputation. I know for me, for example, being someone who's lost weight, been educating myself, growing in my life in all sorts of areas, people will try to do small things that could be targeting you. Like, for example, I remember I was in a situation where so many times I will be in a place, let's say the whole room is trashed, right? Especially when you share living spaces with people, the whole place will be trashed, right? And I'm someone that loves to be clean. I'm someone who loves to be clean and put together. So most of the time when it comes to stuff like washing plates, keeping clean, I'm always staying on top of that. But sometimes when you use things like pots or pans, sometimes you may leave it to soak and things like that. So I remember there was a time where I left my pot to soak and I even put it away in a corner so it wasn't really easily seen, so it wouldn't kind of disturb the atmosphere. And I remember being dragged for my one pot that I left there, and when you look around, the room was just covered in dishes and plates and all these kind of things. I remember the first time that happened to me, I was just so hurt and perplexed, like it just didn't make sense. But now that I've actually grown and started to see the games, this is what they do. They wait for you to do one thing that they can try to crucify you for, even if it's so small and so silly in the grand scheme of things. They try to do these little things to neg you, to try to get you to lower yourself, to feel like you're less than. Like, they don't care what anyone else does. That's why even the thumbnail, I even said make it make sense, because it's like everyone around you can mess up except for you. Everyone can have a slack day, or someone can have a day off. Everyone can have an off day. Everyone can have an attitude here and there except for you, basically. That's the whole underlying message of mental gymnastics. They want you to feel like you're crazy, like you're making it up, like there's something wrong with you, like you have to change, or you're too much. All these kind of things. In conclusion, all these kind of things are trying to, a lot of the time when people use these kind of tactics, is to isolate you, get you to quit, like I said, get you to stop, get you to shrink, but you have to be able to see through it. So now I've actually come to a point where when these things happen, I literally laugh it off. Like, I laugh. Sometimes I point out the inconsistencies and I just laugh it off because it's funny. Like, it doesn't make sense. And that's why it's mental gymnastics. It doesn't even make sense. Like, what you're trying to sell to me here, it doesn't make sense. And when you get to that point, you claim your power, you take your power back, and you no longer let outside people's reactions dictate how you feel or how you live your life. And just do your best to get away from these type of people or energy. But if you're in a situation where you can't do that yet, just keep it in mind that they're trying to paint a picture that's not true. And of course, we have moments where we may have, moments where we actually have to be accountable and have self-awareness, and that's important. But don't be a victim to mental gymnastics or reverse psychology. Know who you are. Self-mastery. Always aim to learn more about yourself and human nature and life. And yeah, if you relate to any of this stuff, if you've gained a thing or two, make sure you guys comment down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I woke up like this. We flawless. Ladies, tell them I woke up like this.